All right, so going into phase 2, I know we're all wondering, like, how are we going to teach to students in the room and students who are virtual at the same time? And that is challenging, but we think we have a setup that will work for a lot of teachers on most days. And so I'm going to show how you could teach a lesson from your iPad to both your roomies and your Zoomies at the same time. So you can see right now I have got my laptop is connected to my television with an HDMI cable. Right now you can see that I've got my Zoom session started with my participants and I have my screens mirrored. This setup is going to require me to set it up so I'm not mirrored, so I'm going to show how to do that, and I'm also going to show how to join from my iPad in a different way than you probably have. Okay, so to get in my into the Zoom session on my iPad, most people either join a meeting or click a link, but you could also just tap share screen. And if you share the screen, it's going to ask you for your meeting ID. To get your meeting ID number, you just go to your Zoom meeting and click on, there's a little green shield in the upper left corner that gives you your meeting information. And if you just click that little green shield, you'll get your meeting ID number for the meeting. So I'm gonna type that in right now into my iPad. My iPad just entered the meeting. I do have to tap on Start Broadcast. It's gonna count me in, and now it says that I'm screen sharing. So now you can see my iPad in the room. The students in my virtual class in the Zoom session are also seeing the iPad right now. You have the ability to choose share device audio on, or you can turn that audio off and talk to your MacBook. Just kind of depends on where you want to be. If you know you're going to be standing a little bit away from your MacBook, you can leave the audio on your iPad and mute your MacBook. Or if you want to just talk to your MacBook, you can shut your audio off on your iPad and have your audio on your MacBook. You kind of need to be aware of which one you're going to talk to and which microphone your mouth is going to be the closest to. Okay, so now what I have to do is, as a teacher, I want my students in the room to see my iPad, but I want to see all my kids on my laptop. So I'm going to have to change some configuration so that I can get that set up. So that is going to involve me not mirroring my screen. So I'm going to show how to set up your displays. Okay, whenever you're plugged in with a cable to a monitor or a television or however you're doing it, you want to make sure that you can set up your external displays in a way that works for you. So you have a couple of ways to do this. Number one, you should look to see if you have this little icon in the upper, like in your menu bar. Okay, it looks like that. It's got a little triangle on it. If you have that little icon and click on it, you should be able to see, this is how you connect to Airplay. It basically shows you all your display settings. If you don't see that icon in your menu bar, you can click the apple in the upper left-hand corner, and you can go down to where it says System Preferences and pick your displays from there. And then if this is unchecked, see how that disappeared from my menu bar? If you check it, that will always show up in your menu bar. And I think you're gonna want it there when you're trying to get all your arrangement stuff going, okay? So now when I connect, I am using a separate display, which is what you're going to want to do when you're trying to do this configuration, where you're teaching from your iPad, you're showing your iPad share screen in the Zoom session on the television, but you want to see the gallery view of your students in Zoom on your laptop. This is kind of what this is going to do. If you mirror, that means that your television that you're plugged into will show the same thing that's on your MacBook. And you could switch it mid-lesson if you needed to for some reason. But if I say use a separate display, that's the setting that's going to allow you to have kind of 3 different things going on with these devices. The other thing you want to do is open those display preferences up, and you want to make sure that you set your display in a way that makes sense for you, depending on how you're configured. So what you see right here, What you see right here is this is my MacBook screen. The little rectangle is my MacBook screen. You can see when I click it, it turns red. Want to make sure that you put your second display in the actual location where it is physically in reference to your laptop screen. So that way, if your TV's on the left of your laptop, then put it on the left. If your TV is on the right of your laptop, then you want to drag that to the right. Now to make this configuration work, it's really important in your Zoom meeting. I'm just going to start this meeting. When you connect your Zoom meeting, what's up, John? When you connect your Zoom meeting, that you come up here to where it says zoom.us, go to your preferences, and you want to make sure your general preferences are set to use dual monitors. So that way when you do join with your iPad, it is going to allow you to have your gallery view on your laptop and your iPad share screen up on the TV. So you've got to be using a separate display, and you have to have dual monitors set up in your Zoom settings. If you have those two things, you're going to be able to make this configuration work. So I'm using dual monitors and I'm not mirroring. Okay, so now you'll notice my laptop is showing all of my virtual students, my TV is showing my iPad, everybody in my room can see my iPad, and my virtual students can see my iPad. So now if I wanted to open up something like Keynote and write on this, students in the room can see what I'm writing, students in my Zoom session can see what I'm writing, and I can see all my students, I can see the chat, I can monitor all those things at the same time. We have some iPad stands that we are going to have available to, for people to use if they want them as well. The way that you connect your iPad kind of depends on what iPad case you have. So I have the origami case. Some people have the one that's more of a folio. You may need to take your iPad out. It just kind of depends. You'll have to work with it. If you have a case that has a strap on the back, you can put the strap right over this and it'll hook on just fine. You do want to make sure your camera is not obstructed when you attach your iPad to your stand. The way these work is based off of tension. So what you're going to do, and it's corner to corner, is how you hook this in. So I'm going to put one corner of my iPad up in here and then push it in and put the other down in that corner. So basically it hooks, it'll turn if I need it to turn. So that's another nice thing, is that I've got this showing on the screen, but I also have it this way. So if I wanted to show something in the room, I could use my camera app to show something in the room. I could also bend this. So I can turn this little knob and I can bend this to use it as a dock camera, because now if I turn my camera on, now I've got a dock cam that could work at a desk if I needed it to, so I could demonstrate something. I can tilt this however I need it to be. Or if I were needing to demonstrate maybe playing piano or doing some kind of cooking procedure or writing on a document, I could use my camera for that and be showing it not only to the students in the room, but also if I'm screen sharing, the students in the Zoom can hear that. So that is an advantage of using the iPad stand, and it can also be adjusted height-wise. So if you did need to take it down, you could do those kinds of things. So